what are you guys doing or seeing for like mechanics? Because I know on bowling that's a huge issue. Is that as
Hmm.
much of an issue on the FEC side, that the arcade, and what does that look like today?
Yeah, it is an issue. A seasoned, highly skilled mechanic, can be very expensive. That can be,
Mhm.
$70,000+ a year
Right.
for a really good top notch mechanic. And if you have a high volume facility, it's worth having someone like that.
Right.
So you have a lot of people who are self-taught, which you
Mhm.
can only really teach yourself so much. I think. I mean, you can get a good amount if you have someone mechanically inclined. I think that's what we see a lot. You see the locations finding someone mechanically inclined who likes troubleshooting, and then they have there's manuals for all the games and attractions, and then there's a manufacturer and a distributor typically that you can call for help,
Mhm.
and they figure it out, right? So that's the main. That's what we see a lot. I think though that because people can make a good amount of money, I think that that's going to get better. There's lots of
Mhm.
different groups that are putting out education programs. They're mostly like
Mhm.
beginning courses, game
Yeah.
distributors, trade associations. But I think that the industries, because they sees the need, is going to keep improving those things.
Mhm.
Plus, there's probably some opportunity with technology to do it even better in a more modern sense, using virtual reality and things like that. Some stuff we've been looking at, trying to figure out how to, because there's no substitute, like giving someone a computer course. Like, it's very hands-on learning. So it's you got to have a way to have it be hands-on. It works
I
best
see.
with a mentor type program. Like,
Right.
ideally you have that top-notch person that knows everything.
Mhm.
It's been doing it a long time, and then they can hire someone under them who can start doing preventative maintenance, and fixing smaller things, and learn it almost like an apprenticeship.
Mhm.
It's tricky in bowling because a lot of the centers don't have enough revenue to have like 3 or 4 techs, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you got
Barely
to kind of
one.
work with what you have. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah, well, it seems like the arcade games are almost an entirely different beast, whereas the machines for like the pin setters are pretty mechanical, and they are complicated, but on a to some degree they're not crazy complicated. It seems like there's a lot of electronic components for some of these where it would take a lot to really get good at it. Do you recommend everyone do like some of these training schools, or what do you like? Say you have a new client, what do you do to help them get a good mechanic in place?
we do one of two things. We have them do some of those trainings, like you said. We tell
Mm-hmm.
them, like, if they have a bowling mechanic and he's willing to do it, that person is usually mechanically inclined enough that they can help oversee it. Sometimes a
Mm-hmm.
facilities manager. So we tell them to do that. Although that's what we've been doing, and we're finding that as the what's been happening in bowling is the arcades do well, so they keep expanding and they're getting bigger, and that's harder to manage them. So we're
Mm-hmm.
starting to look at how to have some regional techs, and starting to try to set up some regional tech resources that you can bring and
Mm-hmm.
help.
Yeah.
Some of the Schaefer Distributing is the distributor we like to use. They do training, and they'll even come on site for
Mm-hmm.
locations and do some training.
Yeah.
They have limited bandwidth, so they can't do it as much as they'd like to. So I wish I had this is exactly how you do it. This is the greatest answer, but it's an issue.
Right.
That
Yeah.
we're actively trying to optimize and figure out the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's gotten so bad on the bowling side that they're changing the pin. A lot of people are switching their to
Yeah,
string machines because of they can't get a mechanic. It's changing the
yeah,
game.
yeah, yep,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
And
I
that's a
had
big
a
reason. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead.
I would say that's a big, from what I've heard, that's a was a large contributing factor to the fact that strings got sanctioned this year. It's just because they're like, hey, we can't get mechanics. We have to go string, or we're going to go out of business.
Yeah, I believe it. I had
Mm-hmm.
it's like a side note. I had an Uber driver when I was in Las Vegas for one of the
Mm-hmm.
trade shows. I forget which one. And he was saying that he used to work for Namco as a arcade game tech, and then he
Mm-hmm.
worked for, I forget, one of the big bowling. Las Vegas has those mega bowling
Yeah.
centers. He worked
Right.
for one of them as like I forget. They had different levels of techs for the bowling equipment, but he was like
Sure.
a senior bowling tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's driving Uber. I'm like, if you can if you can work on the mechanical pin setters,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a master arcade tech, like, you can probably get a really high paid job.
Oh yeah.
Like, out in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
you probably make close to $100,000 a year if you want to.
Easily. Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, my back hurts.
Right.
I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, all right. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's not that many guys who can or girls who can do both of those at a high
Right.
level.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is a tough gig. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys are older, and they
Mm-hmm.
have a tough time doing it sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, did you like this video? Great. We make 10 of them a week. Subscribe to learn more and keep learning about what's working in the industry. Talk to you then.